Today will be the last speech in this series on the Gita, and we'll cover the gist of the 18th chapter. Although the 18th chapter is quite long, it has 78 shlokas in it, we'll cover just some of the main highlights. It's like a review of the whole Gita. In it, Shree Krishna addresses the three paths to God: karma, jnana, and bhakti. In the Bhagavatam, Shree Krishna says, Yogastrayo maya prokta nrinam shreyo vidhitsaya jnanam karma cha bhaktischa nopayo nyosti kutrachit. He says, there are only three ways to approach me. There is no other way. No payon nyosti kutrachit. There's no other way. Only these three ways. Whatever ways there are would all be included in these three ways: karma, jnana, and bhakti. So the Gita is all about reaching God. The Gita teaches us to understand what is our true identity, that we are souls. So as souls, we are divine and eternal beings. So no temporary pleasure of a material nature can satisfy our soul. So we have to know how to find divine happiness. And divine happiness is only God. So how to reach God? Sri Krishna says there are three paths: karma, jnana, and bhakti. He said it in the Vedas, he's saying it in the Gita, he said it in the Bhagavatam. So in the beginning of the 18th chapter, he talks a lot about karma. He says things like, Yagya dana tapa karma natyajyam karyameva tat. That all these good actions which are prescribed in the Vedas, like yagya, in other words, Vedic rituals, religious formalities, dan, charity, tap, which you heard both the description of dan, tap, yagya, all these things you heard about yesterday. Karma means doing all the good actions, observing your duties. Natyajya karyameva tat. These are your duty. You can't abandon all of these actions which are prescribed in the Vedas. So you have to do all of these good actions. Sri Krishna is saying, as he's describing about karma. Then he goes on to describe what we call the aparadharma. I mentioned this earlier as well, that there are two kinds of dharma. One is paradharma, which doesn't mean someone else's dharma. It could be, that term could mean that, but when we're talking about apar and par, it means preliminary and ultimate or supreme. So there's one material dharma and there's one Bhagwad dharma. Material dharma are all the do's and don'ts for how to live a good life in the world, but Bhagwad dharma is for your soul. That's how to find God. Obviously, since our soul is our true self, the Bhagwad dharma is supreme and the main thing. That's the thing that takes you to your ultimate goal, where you've satisfied all of your goals. You have nothing left to attain if you follow that Bhagwad dharma. But if you simply follow the material dharma, you don't reach all your goals, you don't reach any ultimate goal. But it's still a necessary part of existence. So there's quite an extensive description of that in the early part of the 18th chapter, telling about what is this preliminary dharma. What are the duties a person is supposed to observe? How should they be good? What kind of responsibilities do they have to fulfill? All of this is described. And it's told that the motivation behind your action is the thing that God is watching. That's how it's determined whether your action is sattvic, rajas, or tamas, according to the motivation behind it. Is your motivation to help someone? Is your motivation just to enjoy for yourself? Or is your motivation to enjoy at someone else's expense? Accordingly, it's sattvic, rajas, or tamas. But after describing all of this, he says, Etanyapitu karmani sangam tyaktva phalani cha. While you're doing all of this karma, sangam means asakti, attachment, and phal. So your attachment and your desire for reward because of those good actions, tyaktva, that has to be left. In other words, perform all of the good actions without attachment to your action and without hope of getting rewarded for your good actions. In other words, perform all the good actions without desire, without attachment. This is the highest form of karma. Shree Krishna says that you have to do karma in that way, but while offering it to me. Svai svai karmanya bhiratah sansiddhim labhate narah. Each individual has to follow his own dharma, meaning he has to observe his own duties, fulfill his own responsibilities, and by doing that, he can attain perfection if all of those good actions are offered to me, Shree Krishna says. Swakarmana tamabhyarchya siddhim vindati manava. If it's abhyarchya, means offered to Krishna. Archana means to make an offering. So do all of your duties, do all of your good karma, but those have to be offered to Krishna. You do it to please Krishna. Then you know what it's called? Karma Yoga. If you leave that part out, if you're not doing the action to please Sri Krishna, in the words of Veda Vyasji in the Bhagavatam, Tat karma haritosham yat. That is a good action which is done for haritosham. Tosham means like santosham, to make him happy, to please him. That karma which is done to please him, that is called good karma. Otherwise, it's not very good. But looking at the details of the words we use, normally we say, karma is any good action that you do, and karma yoga is any good action you do that has been offered to Krishna. There are many people doing good actions in the world, but the great majority of them do such actions with their mind attached in the world. So if your mind is attached in Maya while you're doing that good action, then it's not karma yoga. It's only karma. Come back to what I was talking about yesterday. People who think, all I have to do is good actions and I'll get to go to the divine world. No, because what you're doing is doing good actions with your attachment in the world, in your family, in your prestige, in your name, your good name, your bank account, your possessions. So that's good karma, but it's not karma yoga. And only karma yoga will take you to the divine world. Because karma yoga means having your mind attached to God, but physically doing all the good actions in the world. So karma yoga can take you to God. Karma on its own cannot. Just good actions cannot take you to God. They'll give you a better birth in your next incarnation, or perhaps a brief sojourn in Swarg, but they will not give you liberation from Maya or entrance to the divine abode. So this distinction is important. Karma and karma yoga. One takes you part way. Karma elevates you. If you're doing good karma, you're improving the sattvic quality of your mind, certainly. So you can say that's taking you towards God, but it leaves you part way. It takes you to Swarg and leaves you. Then from Swarg, you can't go any further. You have to come back here. Only a human being can do Karma Yoga or Gyan Yoga or Bhakti Yoga and attain God. So going to Swarg does not put you any closer to God in the end. The bottom line is you have to be in a human body, then you have to surrender yourself to God. So Karma Yoga is a way of surrendering to God. In order to do Karma Yoga, you still have to have God as your goal. I keep coming back to this point, that our goal has to be God. How many people make that decision? It's because it's a decision. That's the goal of my life. I want to attain Krishna in this life. If someone has made that decision, then they can do Karma Yoga. Otherwise not. Because if that's not the goal of their life, how will their mind be attached to Krishna? It won't. What other goals do people have? Well, happiness is the only goal, but if they're not looking for happiness in Krishna, he's not the goal of your life, then it may be, well, I want to become well known in my field as a great doctor, politician, research scientist, real estate agent, whatever field you work in, you may want to become great and become famous in that field. Maybe it's family. You want to raise a big family and have them all become successful and make you proud. You want to find love in this world. You want to become rich, wealthy, powerful. Or even if it's just that you want to make a difference in this world. Now, none of these things I'm saying are bad. I'm not saying these are bad things to want. Someone may say, I want to help people. I want to make a difference. And I'll get happiness from that. Good. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. Become rich, become powerful, help other people, make a difference in the world, become famous. Nothing wrong with any of those things. But see, the one who's striving for that, their goal is, by getting this, I'll be happy. But all of those things are material things. So what you're wanting is happiness from the world in one way or another, yet the world can only give material happiness, so how can it ever satisfy your soul? It can't. Even the highest thing that I mentioned, help people in the world, make a difference. Someone would say, well, what could be greater than that? But if we're doing that with our attachment in the world, that by helping these people, I'll become happy. Normally, that's what we do. Of course, helping people feels good. And you can say it's the highest form of material happiness. Krishna mentions 3 kinds of happiness in the Gita in the 18th chapter. Sattvic happiness, rajas happiness, tamas happiness. So the happiness you get by helping others, that's sattvic happiness. It's the highest form of material happiness. Rajas happiness is what we normally enjoy. That's what we get when we watch TV, eat ice cream, enjoy the affection of our loved ones. It's also rajas happiness because we're just getting it for ourselves. And then, of course, tamas happiness is the happiness we get by lazing around, sleeping, even causing harm to others. This is the lowest form of happiness. So the happiness we get by helping another person is certainly the highest form of happiness you can get on this earth. Yet, it's still material. It's just the highest form of material happiness. Because sattvic still means material. Sattva, raj, tam are 3 material qualities, 3 qualities of Maya. So whether you're enjoying tamas happiness, rajas happiness, or sattvic happiness, you're enjoying material happiness of lowest kind, middle kind, or highest kind, but it's still material happiness. So does that mean stop helping people? No. It means don't look for happiness from helping people, but keep helping people. Then where do you look for happiness? From bhakti, from God. look to Him for happiness, but keep doing all of the good actions in the world, that becomes karma yoga. There's a big confusion about this. People firmly believe helping others is karma yoga. No. Helping others is karma, good karma. Helping others with your mind attached in God is karma yoga. Not in the world. So it means your desire should not be to get happiness from the world. Your desire should be, when I get Krishna, I'll get happiness. So you see the decision that has to be made? Before that becomes crystal clear in the mind, nobody can do karma yoga. Nobody can do bhakti, because the goal has to be set first. So if someone sets their goal as God realization, then they can continue doing all of the good actions, helping people and observing their duties, yet they're not expecting happiness from any of it. They want to get happiness from a divine source because they know that's the only thing that can satisfy their soul. So their goal is God only, but they still do all the good things in the world. That person is a karma yogi. So that person attains perfection. That person is liberated from Maya. That person attains divine bliss. So this karma yoga is one way of reaching God. Not karma. Karma yoga is one way of reaching God. The next way Shree Krishna brings up is gyan. This gyan also can be explained in a similar way, because in fact, gyan marg cannot take you all the way to God. But Gyan Yoga can. Just like karma takes you part way and leaves you, but karma yoga takes you all the way, because the yoga part means your surrender to God. You can say it's like karma plus bhakti makes karma yoga, because bhakti is surrender to God. So it's the same with Gyan. Gyan takes you part way to God, but Gyan plus bhakti becomes Gyan Yoga. That takes you all the way to God. So Shree Krishna has a few verses about this in the Gita. He says that first of all, someone following the path of Gyan has to be very renounced. Someone doing karma yoga may initially be very attached in the world, but he's gradually transferring his attachment to God. The Jnani has to be much higher than that to even begin. You see, just because I'm saying you have to desire Krishna, not desire happiness from the world, that doesn't mean that you have to be free from worldly attachments to begin worshiping Krishna, to begin the path of bhakti. No, you start from where you are. You make that decision. One thing is the decision. You understand. Happiness is not in this world, it's in Krishna, so I want Krishna. Okay, you made the decision, yet you've spent lifetimes developing attachment in this world. So you have attachment. Your mind has many worldly desires, desires to enjoy things. None of that is going to go away in a day. So you have all of that. It's fine. I'm not saying stop desiring the world, stop being attached in the world. I'm saying just make a decision in your mind that I understand happiness is not in this world. It's in God, but I also understand that my mind is so conditioned to desiring the world that it's not going to give up that kind of thinking instantly. But you still hold on to that decision. No, but the real happiness is in Krishna. I understand mind, right now you think this thing looks nice and you want to enjoy this. That's not going to go away instantly. But you still keep the ultimate decision in your mind. But I know this happiness is not going to satisfy me. Even while you're enjoying it, you can remind yourself. But eventually, Krishna, I know I'm going into the world again right now. I'm trying to enjoy this thing, but I know there's no happiness in this. But my mind is so conditioned to it, it won't give it up. So I'm trying to enjoy it again. But I know you're the ultimate happiness. You keep that in your mind. Eventually, if you really practice bhakti, and I'll get to more detail about bhakti at the end today, you develop more desire and more attachment in Krishna, so that reduces your mind's hunger to enjoy worldly things. The more you start to experience Krishna in your meditation, you can call it bhakti ras, the real inner happiness that you get by practicing devotion to Krishna, that starts to replace the mind's desire for worldly pleasures, because it's finding something better than worldly pleasures. But it happens very gradually. So wherever you are right now, you can start. Even if you've got 99% desire for the world and 1% desire for God, but you understand that real happiness is in God actually, you can start. And it'll start getting heavier on the divine side and lighter on the material side. This is for karma yoga or bhakti yoga, but not for jnana yoga. For jnana yoga, it's a much more stringent qualification to begin. Just like certain schools, you want to apply to go to an Ivy League school, it requires a lot higher qualification than to get into a city college. So Jnana Yoga has a very high qualification. You should be free from worldly desires, free from worldly attachment, free from ahankar, that self-vanity we have, free from anger, free from feelings of jealousy towards others, free from all of that stuff. Have a totally peaceful, calm mind. Then you can start on Gyan Marg. Gyan Marg it's not recommended for Kali Yuga. It requires, first of all, total renunciation and control over the mind, like I just said. Then you have to go in an isolated place and meditate for extensive periods of time. Not one lifetime, many lifetimes. And keep meditating on what your Guruji teaches you. A Guru of Gyan Marg will teach meditation on formless God, Nirakar Brahm. So in order to meditate on Nirakar Brahm, there are some Veda mantras like Tat Tvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, these Maha mantras, Maha Vakyas of the Veda. They meditate on that, and they meditate on the oneness of their soul and God, that God is within my soul. So what difference is there between God and me? From that point of view, there's no difference, right? Because God is permeating you. Although, if you examine it more closely, there are many, many other differences. But the Jnani doesn't focus on those differences. He focuses on the oneness of his soul and God. But Nirakar Brahm. So he's meditating on formless God, which is very difficult. On Bhakti Marg, we meditate on the personal form of God, which is very easy because we're used to, everybody we know has a form. So just think of Krishna the same way. That's it. You're doing meditation on the path of bhakti. But on the path of Gyan, how will you form a concept in your mind of formless God? What are you going to think of? Empty space? No, that's not. Formless God is not empty space. Okay, is he air? No. Is he nothing? No. Is he darkness? No. Is he light? No. I mean, he's been described like that, but if you think of any light, what are you going to think of? Material light. So he's not material light, he's beyond material light. How are you going to meditate on him? It's impossible. It's impossible for anyone who has any kind of material attachment and not full control over his mind. Full control over his mind means like King Janak. King Janak is sitting in his Guruji's association in his ashram, and there are many other young residents, students of the ashram, learning Ved from Guruji. King Janak would come and also learn Vedas from Guruji. So he would always, Guruji would have him sit right up front. And those other disciples, they would think in their mind that, oh yes, King Janak is so wealthy and so powerful, and that's probably why Guruji has him sit up front, because, you know, he's thinking, I have to treat him properly, he's an important person. So to show those disciples what is the actual status, internal status of King Janak, Guruji, using his Yogamaya power, which is actually God's power, Aghatita Ghatana Patiyasi. This Yogamaya power can make all the impossibles possible. So using his Yogamaya, he set fire to Janakpur, Mithila. They were sitting there outside of the city in Guruji's ashram. He set fire to the city. So some servants of King Janak come quickly on horseback, and they burst in and they tell him, King, your city is burning. The whole thing is ablaze. He says, shh, well, why are you disturbing me? I'm learning about God from Guruji and you're talking about my city is burning? Get out of here. So they go back. Again, they come back. King, your palace is burning. Your whole family is going to perish. Hey, I told you, I'm learning about Bhagwan from Guruji, and you're bothering me with these material matters? Get out. Meanwhile, Guruji sets fire to his ashram. And all of those students, they're all brahmacharis. What have they got? Like one or two langotis. Maybe one to wear and one that they washed and is hanging on a branch outside to dry. When they see that, oh, the ashram's on fire, Guruji's still teaching, they all jump up and run to save their one spare langoti. So then Guruji made the fire go down. It was only the illusion of a fire. Nothing was burning in Janakpur, nothing was burning in the ashram. Everybody came back and sat down, and Guruji said, you see, this King Janak, his focus was so complete on what he was learning and on God that nothing could disturb his focus. No amount of material loss could take him away from it. And you were all running for such a small thing. That's the qualification to be able to meditate on formless God and conceive that philosophy of Nirakar Brahm. You have to have that kind of renunciation and control over your mind. So needless to say, there are very, very few such individuals in the world today. I'm certainly not one of them. You may be. If you are, you could be qualified just to take the first step on Gyan Marg, which is to hear what is Nirakar Brahm. Then you have to go and meditate for years and years. That process of meditation cleans your heart, and eventually you end up in samadhi for longer and longer periods of time. Eventually your heart would become 100% purified. Here Shree Krishna addresses this state when he says, Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samah sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. He says now that Jnani, he's reached the height of his path. Gyan can't take you any farther than that. So what is his state? We call it Atma Gyan. He uses the word Brahma Bhuta Avastha here. It's also known as Atma Gyan or self-realization. When the mind has been fully purified, then that divine effulgence of the soul transfers clearly into the mind. And in his pure but still material mind, he knows, I am the divine soul. I am not this body. I am not this mind. I am the soul. He knows that and he experiences it. This is experiential knowledge, and it's called Atma Gyan, or self-realization. But his mind is still material. He's established it in pure sattva gun of Maya. Rajogun and Tamogun have been completely suppressed. They're still there. They can't be gone. They're suppressed. In other words, he's still got a material mind. So he's not liberated from Maya because his mind is still material. He's free from all attachment, all desire, yet when you've got a material mind and the world is around you and you've got the seed of Raj and Tam in your mind because it's there within Sattvagun, you can't stay in that state of self-realization forever because your material mind will start to desire this material world again. It's guaranteed. The two are sajatiya. There's a natural attraction of the material mind for the material world. So that Atmagyani will fall, definitely. Veda Vyasji writes in the Bhagavatam, Yenyera vindaksha vimuktamaninas-tvayasta-bhavada vishuddha buddhaya aruhya krichrena param padam tata patantyadhonadritayushmadanghraya. Having achieved that parampad of Gyanmarg, adha patanti, he falls down. Why? Mukta manina. अपने आप को मुक्त मान लिया, लेकिन मुक्त नहीं था. He believes he is liberated because that state of Atma Gyan is very blissful. It's the greatest material joy you can enjoy, but it's still not divine because you have a material mind. How can you get divine bliss in your material mind? So he believes, oh, I must be free from Maya. I must be liberated. This must be divine bliss I'm experiencing. Thus, he doesn't surrender to God. Thus, he falls. These are Veda Vyasji's words. So Shree Krishna says, Mad bhaktim labhate param. He has to do my bhakti. In other words, he has to surrender to Krishna. He did all that other work on his own. All his samadhi, everything for years and years, he did all that on his own. All of his meditation, he purified his heart fully through his own effort. But in the end, he must surrender to Krishna to cross Maya. There is no other way. Ma meva ye prapadyante maya me tam taranti te. It's a law spoken in the Gita that only by surrendering to me can a person cross Maya. So if the person surrenders to Krishna, once they've reached that state of Atma Gyan, he graces them. When they surrender, they become a Gyan yogi. They added bhakti to their Gyan, so they became a Gyan yogi. Yogi means they surrendered to God. Yog means to join your mind with Krishna. So once they became a Gyan yogi, there's no delay in their liberation because their heart was already purified. Now they surrender to Krishna. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tadanantaram. The next verse in the Gita. Sri Krishna says, Bhaktya, now through the bhakti, through the surrender to me, mam abhijanati. Now they know me in full. Whatever I am, whatever is my divine being, they know. They know me. So they get Brahma Gyan. Before they had Atma Gyan, they knew their self. But simply by knowing yourself, you don't know God, because Mamaivansho jiva loke. Every soul is ansh of God. So you just have you know the ansh. You didn't know the anshi yet. Atma Gyan is knowledge of the ansh. You need to know the anshi. You need to know God himself. But no one can know God through their own effort. Only by surrendering you can know God. So when he becomes a Gyan yogi, by adding bhakti, then Krishna graces him. He knows Krishna, and then Vishate tadanantaram, then he enters into me, Shree Krishna says. Meaning, when the Jnani who's now liberated, now he's Jivan Mukt, he's liberated, but he's still in his material body. He has to live out the rest of his prarabdha, rest of his destiny. Once the predetermined time of death comes, then he leaves his body. His material mind is also left behind. And just the soul goes and merges into Krishna. And then he enters into that state of divine peace we call Kaivalya Moksha, where you don't experience anything. It's just liberation. So you're liberated from Maya, but you don't get to experience God in that state. This is the path of Gyan Yoga in a nutshell. So we see that the karma marg is dependent upon bhakti to take a soul to God. It's incomplete in and of itself. Gyan marg is also incomplete without bhakti. So bhakti is the magic ingredient you have to add. Just like you can say, bhakti is amrit. So you take amrit, nectar, you add it in some water and drink it, you'll become immortal. Because that's what amrit does. Whoever drinks it becomes immortal. So you mix it in water and drink it, fine, you'll become immortal. Mix it in milk and drink it, again, you'll become immortal. Or just drink the amrit straight, with no mixture of milk or water or anything else, again, you'll become immortal. In other words, mix bhakti with karma, you'll attain God. Mix bhakti with gyan, you'll attain God. But just drink water without amrit, you won't become immortal. Just drink milk without amrit, you won't become immortal. So just do karma without bhakti, you won't attain God. Just do gyan without bhakti, you won't attain God. But mix the bhakti in, you'll attain God. Or just drink straight amrit. Just do pure bhakti, you'll attain God. This is called bhakti yoga. Shree Krishna says, he clarifies everything in a couple of verses. Tameva sharanam gaccha sarva bhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. He says, Arjun, you have to surrender to him, meaning to God. Tameva sharanam gaccha, go and take shelter in God. Sarva bhavena, wholeheartedly, with all of your feelings. Feelings like love, desire, all of that, give it all to Krishna. Surrender to him wholeheartedly. Then what happens? Tat prasadat, unki kripa se, through his grace, param shantim, you get divine bliss, and sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. Sthan means a divine status. Shashvatam, eternal, never to be disturbed by anything. So you attain a divine state, a divine status forever, and you get divine bliss, divine happiness. So there's a kram. You surrender, he graces, you get free from Maya, and you get the divine bliss. This is how it works. Whether you're doing karma, whether you're doing gyan, you have to follow this kram. So this is bhakti in a nutshell, surrender. So Arjun is thinking, saying, Tameva sharanam gaccha. Go to him. Who is him? I only know you, Krishna. Who are you telling me to go and surrender to? Tameva. So Krishna says, okay. Mat prasada davapnoti shashvatam padamavyayam. Surrender to me, Arjun, and I'll grace you. Make it simple. Same thing. I'll grace you, you'll get a divine bliss, knowledge, life, everything. This is the whole Gita in a nutshell. You see, in the beginning, Arjun was confused and afraid of doing the wrong thing. Krishna made it simple for him. He said, just surrender to me. Give your buddhi to me, give your man to me, give everything to me. Attach your mind to me, and then do the right thing. Because Arjun was saying, if I do the right thing, I'll go to Swarg, right? That's dharma. That's good karma. I don't want that either. I certainly don't want to go to Narak by doing the wrong thing. It's like I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. If I do the right thing, I'm still bound by Maya. If I do the wrong thing, I'm still bound by Maya. So Krishna said, don't do either. Don't do the wrong thing, don't do the right thing. He said, do the right thing without doing the right thing. What does that mean? It means do the right thing without attachment in that right thing. Keep your attachment in me. Then you get the outcome of your mind being attached to me, not the outcome of your worldly action, even if it's a good action. You won't get any result from that. You'll only get the result of your attachment to me. This is akarma. Akarma means no karma. You won't get any result because you didn't have any worldly attachment. What result do you get? Divine result. So you call it akarma or karma yoga. Krishna explained all of this. This was Arjun's main confusion. Because of this, we got to hear the whole Gita. So Shree Krishna explained all of this, and he said to Arjun that now I've told you this gyan, which is guhyad guhyatar. Guhya means hidden or secret. Guhyatar means more secret. He says, I've told you out of all the secrets, guhyatar secret. Now, yate chasi tatha kuru. Now, Krishna says, you see, people think, oh, God can do anything. Krishna can't do anything to make us do what he wants. Even after explaining the whole Gita to Arjun, now he says, Arjun, it's in your hands. I've explained everything, now you do what you want. Yatha ichhasi tatha kuru. Whatever you want, do it. I'm done talking. God can give us all the knowledge in the scriptures, send saints to teach us. In the end, it's up to us what we do because we have free will. That's why in uncountable lifetimes, God has descended uncountable times. He's taken uncountable avatar. We've seen his avatar uncountable times. Yet, we're still here under the bondage of Maya, bereft of divine knowledge and bliss, because we have free will. Even if he comes before us in his divine form, he can't make us surrender to him. We have to implement his teachings, and it's a gradual path that we follow to become surrendered. So he says, Arjun, now you do whatever you want. You can say that's like a general statement for all the souls. Gita is universal. So in Gita, Krishna puts forth many universal principles that people can use to guide their life. So that's why he says, Yate chasi tatha kuru. You use this knowledge as you see fit. But for Arjun, he says, Sarvaguhyatamam bhuya shrinu me paramam vachah ishtosi me dridhamiti tato vakshyami te hitam. But for you, Arjun, I have one more thing. Because you are dear to me, you're surrendered to me. So, sarvaguhyatamam. See, there's guhya, there's guhyatar, there's guhyatam. That's like good, better, best. Like priya, priyatar, priyatam. So he says, now I'm going to tell you the secret of all the secrets, Arjun, because you are dear to me. So I'll tell you for your own good. And it's my final statement. After this, I'm really done. So Arjun, you can imagine, probably sat up. Oh, okay, I'm ready. What is the secret of all the secrets? Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. It's a promise. He says, I promise you, if you give your mind to me, you will come to me forever. Sounds so simple, right? That's where you take all the knowledge of all the scriptures, concentrate it down to the absolute essence. That's it. That's the essence. We have to give our mind to God. The whole Gita was only to get us to this point. You have to give your mind to Him. Surrender to Him. Adore Him. Love Him. If you do that, you'll come to Him. He's guaranteeing it. Then he says one last thing. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Don't worry, Arjun. Leave your dependence on and attachment to all the other teachings, all the other paths, practices, dharmas, everything. Leave it all and come to me. Mamekam sharanam vraja. Vraja means go. Move. Move where? Mam ekam sharanam. Sharanam means my shelter. Mam sharanam. And come in my shelter, ekam, only. Come to me only, leaving the shelter of all others. It means the same thing as giving our mind to God. But he's making it so simple. He says, if you do that, I'll eliminate all your past karma. I'll liberate you from all of that. I'll give you divine bliss. Give you entrance to the divine world. But you have to come to me. So to come to me, just like you're over there, you have to come over here. So you get up from over there and come over here. Usko chhodkar yahan aa jao. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Meaning, we have many past beliefs, practices, paths we're following. He says, leave all of that. And just give your mind to me. Just love me. In other words, pure bhakti. That's where he ends, with pure bhakti. Leaving everything else, just do pure bhakti. Which again comes back to the same thing. Make the decision that you want Him. Then give your mind to Him by desiring Him. The mind is not such a thing that you can oh, hear Krishna. It's not that easy. It's a subtle thing. And where does the mind go? Where you have desire. Wherever you're desiring, that's where you're driving your mind. Maybe you saw a nice house on the way over here that's for sale. And you're thinking, oh, I'm living in such a small house. Maybe it's time to upgrade. So you saw that nice new house. You're sitting here listening to my lecture, but you're dreaming about that house. So that desire means you're driving your mind over there towards that house. Wherever your desire is, that's where your mind goes. In other words, by desiring that thing, you're giving your mind to it. By desiring Krishna, you're giving your mind to Him. That's simple. That's what surrender is. Surrender means, where is our dependence? If I believe getting a new house is going to make me happy, it means I'm depending on that house. So I'm surrendered to that house. Or you can say I'm surrendered to the world. Now, that doesn't mean I don't need a house. You need somewhere to live. But you don't have to expect to get happiness from that house. Expect happiness from meeting Krishna. So your desire should be for Him. Your dependence for happiness should be for Him. How should you live in your house? Like a renter, even if you own it. Meaning, let's say you and your brother bought a house together because you couldn't afford it on your own. But he lives out in California. He took care of all the details. You don't know about that. He knows all those paperwork and laws and real estate and everything. You just trusted him. Said, let's put both our name on the title. We'll go into this together. So you're living in your house for a good decade thinking, oh, this is my house. Painting all the trim just so, decorating everything, putting carpet here, wood flooring there. It's my house. Then after 10 years, somehow you find out, you see the title and you see, only your brother's name is on it? It's not my house? He said, yeah, there was a complication with the bank. They only wanted my name on it, but it's okay. I don't want it. You live in the house for your whole life. I don't want it. Still, now you know, it's not my house. You'll live in the house, but you don't feel like it's yours anymore. That's how you have to treat this world. It's all temporary. It's somebody else's. It's borrowed. Borrowed car, borrowed house, borrowed spouse. It's true. It's only temporary. Borrowed children. Everything we have is temporary. So whatever you have, you take care of it. You'll take care of your house, even if it's rented. You don't want to live in a trash heap. You take care of your kids. You take care of your spouse. But you know it's all temporary, and your true happiness will only come from Krishna. This is the knowledge of the Gita. And if we start imbibing that knowledge into our daily life, then we see changes. We see an increase in our desire to meet Krishna, and we see a decrease in our attachment in this world, which leads to a more happy living in the world, a much more peaceful life and harmonious living. Less anger, less jealousy, all of these things reduce as our worldly attachment reduces. And of course, our joy and contentment increases as our attachment increases to Krishna. Because the more we're surrendered to Him, the more happiness we get because He's gracing us. We're 20% surrendered, we're receiving 20% grace of Krishna. So we're feeling that, and it's buoying us, meaning it's uplifting us and giving us real happiness now. And that goes on increasing. But to do that, you see, we take that Gita Gyan, we apply it, we understand that attaining Krishna is the goal, and we change the way we look at our life in this world in a healthy way. And then to speed up the process and make everything go more deeply into our heart, we also have to do some sadhana every day. That sadhana is of two kinds. One kind is what many people attempt to do, which is remember Krishna throughout the day. This is good. You should never forget that your life is for Him. He's given you this life, and He's with you every moment in the day. That's karma yoga sadhana. You're busy, you're actively doing your karma in the world, but you feel Krishna's presence and you remember your relationship with Him throughout the day. That's one type of sadhana, but that type of sadhana has to be complemented and augmented with what we call karma sannyas sadhana. Karma sannyas sadhana is what you're doing right now, where you cease all worldly activities and just think of God. This karma sannyas sadhana is of many kinds, but 3 have been highlighted in the Bhagavatam, which is the follow-up to the Gita. Where the Gita ends, the Bhagavatam begins. The Gita ended with pure bhakti, the Bhagavatam begins from there. So in Bhagavatam it is said, Shrotavyah kirtitavyascha smartavyo bhagavan nrinam. Although there are many kinds of bhakti, 9 are most famous, and out of those 9, 3 are most important. Shravan, Kirtan, and Smaran. So right now you're doing Shravan Bhakti. You're listening to divine philosophy. If I were telling you a Krishna Leela, that would also be Shravana Bhakti, means to listen. Earlier we were doing Kirtan Bhakti, chanting God's name. But the third one is the most important, Smarana Bhakti. Because Smaran is what you do from in here. Shravan you're doing with your ear, Kirtan you're doing with your mouth, Smaran is what you're doing from in here. That means remembering Krishna. So obviously the other 2 are helpers, right? If you're hearing some philosophy about Krishna, it's supposed to make you remember him. If you're hearing a Leela about Krishna, it's supposed to make you think of him. If you're chanting his name, you're supposed to be visualizing his form while you're chanting his name. Otherwise, how do I know your son's name is not Gopal or Govinda? You're chanting Govinda. Maybe your son is called Govinda. If you're visualizing your son while you're chanting Govinda Gopal, then you're not chanting Krishna's name, you're chanting your son's name. So you should be visualizing the one whose name you're chanting. Smaran is main, the others are helpers. It means that every day you should sit for some time. How much time? That's up to you. However much time you put in, that much benefit you'll get. 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. It's up to you. It's according to your desire. But you have to have some time where you sit and you do this Smaran, Kirtan, and Shravana Bhakti. Meaning, sit and meditate on Krishna and listen to your favorite bhajan or kirtan, or sing your favorite bhajan or kirtan from the heart as you meditate on Krishna and his leelas. Or listen to some divine philosophy being explained about Krishna. Read some leela about Krishna. That dedicated time has to be there for your devotion. Then that gives you the ability to remember Krishna throughout the rest of the day. If you're not doing that karma sannyas time where you cease all the worldly activities, then your remembrance will be weak during the rest of the day. Because you're distracted by doing other things, the advantage of doing the karma yoga sadhana is that you eliminate all the distractions and you focus only on devotion to Krishna for that time. So it's like a more intense way of engrossing your mind in Krishna. Then that carries over into the rest of the day and allows you to remember him more. So that sadhana where you sit and meditate on Krishna and chant his name, that's the main thing. In addition to that, the remembrance throughout the day complements that. So you have to practice this. This is the core practice of bhakti. You do that and keep the knowledge of Gita in your mind and see what results you get. Of course, when Krishna sees that a soul is truly desiring him, he'll send a true saint into that soul's life to guide him specifically and inspire him more to do more devotion. Saint both guides and inspires. When a soul meets such a saint and associates with him faithfully, then that's like the luckiest day in that soul's life. Because having received the association of that true saint, now he doesn't have anything else that's missing that he needs in order to attain God. He's got everything in place. Then it's just up to him to do it. So take this knowledge of the Gita, as Shree Krishna says, Yathechasi tatha kuru. Now it's in your hands what you do with it. It's been my pleasure to share this knowledge with you. Whatever I've been able to learn and remember from my Guruji, Jagadguru Shree Kripaluji Maharaj, I've tried my best to pass on to you. If there's been anything that any of you will find useful in your life, then I will find myself happy to have been a part of that.